been a while since I've posted anything, and now I have something more worthy of posting. It's from the Coast Guard reports, and at the end of this is a shanty that my son wrote and performed in honor of this gentleman. His last words were, "Did they get off?" They may not be recognizable to anybody, but to each and every Coast Guard member, they represent a true hero. Signalman, First Class, Douglas Munro, the Coast Guard's only Medal of Honor recipient. Signalman First Class Douglas A. Munro sent his family a snapshot of himself wearing sidearms aboard his ship. More than 75 years ago, those were the last words he said before his death at the Battle of Guadalcanal during World War II. Ask any Coast Guardman or Marine about Douglas Munro, and they might tell you about September 27, 1942, when Munro gave his life so a detachment of Marines might live. In many ways, Munro's sacrifice is at the very core of the close relationship between the services. All who hear Munro's story instantly understand the bond between American brothers and sisters in arms and the true meaning of service to nation. The Coast Guard men who saved Marines during World War II, Munro, and others responsible for navigating landing craft full of Marines along the coast of Guadalcanal, one of the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific. A month into the Guadalcanal campaign, then Marine Lieutenant Colonel Louis B. Chesty Puller embarked 3 companies of U.S. Marines into landing craft to take control of the western region of the island. Munro, only 22 years old, took control of 10 landing craft to move Puller's men to the western coast. After successfully landing and moving 500 yards inland, Munro took all but one of the landing craft and returned to the staging area. Just an hour after landing on the western coast of the island, Marine forces were overcome by Japanese bombing raids driving out their gunfire support. The Marines were being driven back to the beach, and many did not have radios to request assistance. A single "help" spelled out in T-shirts on the ridge near the beach sent a loud and clear signal to those looking on. Back at the staging area, Munro volunteered to navigate the same landing craft back to rescue the Marines from any fire. Nearing the beach and braving incoming fire, Munro directed the landing craft to push forward, even with Japanese forces gaining ground and nearing the beach. As the Marines re-embarked on the landing craft, Munro immediately navigated his vessels between the enemy fire and the Marines' forces, providing much-needed cover for the Marines. With all of his effort, all of the Marines, including the wounded, were safely taken off the island. Munro later helped free a grounded landing craft that was full of Marines who were not far from enemy forces. At the same time, the Japanese forces began firing machine gun rounds, and Munro was struck with a single bullet. He died before the forces returned to the staging area. In a letter dated just 5 days later, the commanding officer of the unit wrote to inform Munro's parents of their son's heroism and death. Upon regaining consciousness, his only question was, "Did they get off?" And he died with a smile on his face of the full knowledge that he had successfully accomplished a dangerous mission, the letter said. A Medal of Honor recipient, he was put forward by none other than Chesty Puller, who was one of those Marines that he saved. Can you imagine the outcome of life if that Marine hadn't been saved? And he's just one of them. He's an inspiration to so many who have served in the Coast Guard. And Puller was one of the most, as you know, decorated members of the Marine Corps. And he's inspired generations of service members himself. And for his sacrifice, of course, Puller put him up for the Medal of Honor. The Coast Guard has honored Munro's legacy throughout the past 75 years, including naming a 370-foot high-endurance cutter and the brand new Coast Guard headquarters building for Munro. These enduring symbols are a constant reminder of what it means to live by the service's core values. Yeah, it makes me emotional. Now enjoy this shanty.
I was driving with my son on 90 West in Washington. A humble sign called out to me, a tribute which I had to see. Shining granite marker stone, inscribed with Douglas A. Munro, in his hometown laid to rest, the nation and the Coast Guard's best. Lead the way, boys, for the Coast Guard, raise a bravest son. Riding Bassett told his tale. The young man faced the gates of hell. At Guadalcanal, just 22, he steered his boat and his gallant crew. Full chesty Fuller gave the call, and Douglas answered, whiskey all. 5 Higgins boats through lead and squall, 500 men in all. Boys for the Coast Guard, raise a glass now, everyone, from Clay Stone to the Solomon's foam. Here's to our bravest son. One boat was stuck upon the ground, and bullets flying all around. Douglas placed himself in front. He zipped and dodged to take the brunt. There was no way he could survive, but he so cared for those men's lives. And as he gave his dying call, his final words did they get on. Away, boys, for the Coast Guard, raise a glass now, everyone, from Clay Yellowstone to the Solomon's foam. Here's to our bravest son. So many years have come and gone since that tragic fateful day, but still his star keeps shining on. In polished brass it seems to say, 500 men, each one he saved. Knew they could not pay their debt, and paid in black granite stone. The Marines will never forget. Everybody, away, boys, for the Coast Guard, raise a glass now, everyone, from Clay Stone to the Solomon's foam. Here's to our bravest